IWF. We're here with Anne today. Anne, thank you for being here. Give us your background. Where are you from? How did you get to Miami?
Yeah, it's sort of a long story, so I'll try and make it short because it's only a few minutes. So I was born in Boston, part of a large Irish Catholic family. Grandmother lived with us until she was, needed skilled nursing care. Found my way to Smith College, and when I graduated, all I wanted to do was go work in New York. So I basically took whatever legal job, would get me there. And I started in operations training programs in the banks that they were doing in the late 70s. And in retrospect, it was absolutely fantastic education for someone with a French and a government major, right? So, the whole world of computers, project management, operations process, and I really kind of loved it. So I decided that actually I was really more interested in business than I was in law or politics, which I originally thought. So I went off to business school, then went back to New York, got married, had a career there, and I'll get back to that. And my boss, about 10 years ago, was living in Key Biscayne. My sister had a little seasonal apartment on Miami Beach. Our kids had flown the coop in New York, and my husband was really wanting to retire. And I didn't. So all I needed was an international airport to do my job. So all those things together said, you know what? Change is good. Let's go to Miami. So we sold, much to our friends' absolute, shock, although we were a little bit ahead of our times, it turns out, we sold our place in New York and moved to Miami. So there you go. That's how we got there.
And tell us what you're doing now. What's your profession now? What do you?
So I just retired from Willis Towers Watson. I was the chief administrative officer, which meant that I did everything that the CFO or general counsel didn't. So we're a company of 45,000 people in 140 countries. So it was a pretty big global job. And I had been there, though, in C-level jobs for 20 years, and it was time to give some other folks a chance to lead the company. So I'm taking a couple months to try and take time. I'm finding it very hard. Yeah. So I'll see what's next. I don't know, but it is good to just take that step back from what was a pretty full-on 24/7, 35 years or 45 years, depending on how you count my career, and then just see what's next.
And as you're thinking about what's next, how else are you connecting with the Miami community?
Yeah, I see that question. The answer is probably not enough. Because of my travel, my husband's made a bunch of good friends in Miami because he's been here in Miami. And every time something came up, oh, Anne's on a flight. Oh, Anne's not here. Oh, Anne's in, Asia. So actually, I'm so delighted. The IWF in Miami is so welcoming. And so I'm looking forward to spending more time, honestly, with IWF colleagues and having the time to join in on more events than I have in the past. We're big fans of the New World Symphony, and we have a lot of friends over there and are, kind of really faithful attendees. We love art. And so we're always off to see whatever's on at all the various wonderful institutions in Miami. So I think all of those things will give me a chance to really make deeper connections in my new hometown.
Yeah, well, welcome. And hopefully IWF Florida will provide a good platform for you as you decide what's next. And as you're doing this transition, do you have advice you would give to your younger self or to younger, newer members of IWF?
Yeah, they probably don't need it. This would really surprise anyone who's known me for the past 10 years because, I was sort of the speak truth to power person at the company. But it took me a long time to find my voice. And I would have said to my younger self, just go for it. Just go for it. Your voice matters. You have something to say. And until you start trying to say it, you won't really know how your voice needs to be kind of pitched, couched, etc. So I would have just started sooner at saying what was on my mind, because I actually had a lot to say.
Good, good. I think that's excellent advice. Tell us something about you we couldn't find on the internet.
Yeah, I had the great fortune of being an AFS student in Johannesburg, South Africa, 51 years ago. And I am still very, very close with my South African family. I go back there as often as I can. It's led to my eldest daughter's deep involvement in work in all over Africa, although she's back in New York now. So there you go. That's one thing.
And, did that early experience make you want to have the international career you've had? Because it
I
seems
think clearly. I mean, I was fortunate to live in Paris for the whole year I was in my junior year. But I think that early exposure to different cultures, the opposite side of the world, I think it really did influence my career. I really did think I was just found some letters from my grandmother to me when I was in Paris, and about, oh, I'm sure you'll be, in the diplomatic corps. And it really was not what was going to work for me. And so I really did seek out international opportunities throughout my business career. I would always raise my hand and say, oh yeah, I'd love to go do that. I'll make a speech in Tokyo. I'll kind of do whatever needs to be done in Manila, Mumbai, etc. And those were the most rewarding experiences of my career.
Yes. So talk to us about what now that you have leisure time, what books or podcasts would you recommend to our forum friends?
Yeah, I read a really good book that I should have known about that someone just recommended. It's called Prairie Fires, and it won the Pulitzer Prize for nonfiction. And it's a story, the revisited, deeply researched story of the life and times and the history around the world that Laura Ingalls Wilder grew up in. It was fascinating, really, really fascinating. So that's one. And then for fun, Lessons in Chemistry I thought it was really just a great book, really kind of entertaining, right? So a little bit of a different end of the spectrum.
Great. Well, last question. If you were in charge of the playlist, what song would be playing next?
Angel from Montgomery, Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, great suggestion. Well, thank you for doing this short interview. It's great to get to know you a little bit, and hopefully we'll see you at all the IWF events. You're in the Adirondacks now. Are you going to be back for September?
Absolutely. I'll see you then. Thank you,
Great.
Melanie.